Just a writing tip for next year's NaNoWriMo. If you're anything like me and you write historical based stuff, make your notes beforehand. Write them down in a notebook and have them there by your side, or print them out and have them in a folder that you have there by the side of your writing computer or your tablet, whatever you happen to be writing in. Because if you know anything about doing research, you can waste a whole day in the library, or even if you're just looking it up on Google, because one site can lead to another, can lead to another, can lead to another, or maybe you won't find what you're looking for and you'll keep looking through 6 or 7 or 10 or 15 sites. So if you're doing a timed writing like NaNoWriMo, that's going to take away from your 1,667 words per day. So I would do that, have that all done and written down somewhere where you can easily lay your hands on it beforehand. Like me, I have a ton of notebooks from stuff that I've studied over the years, medieval, Victorian, Renaissance, art history, world history, that kind of thing. And I can easily, well, I don't want to say easily. There are some times where I have to go dig in boxes to find what I'm looking for, but I generally know where I have everything so that I can pull it out when I need it. And it really helps if you're putting a time limit on yourself like that, or even if you have a deadline, say you have to get a manuscript out to some publisher by big or small for a certain date. This kind of culling of your ideas in one place where you can easily put your hands on it will really help you out. For this manuscript, I was able to pull from several different notebooks from previous manuscripts I've been working on, because the era, I was working roughly in the same era. There were certain things that I did have to go look up because I moved them into a different area, into a different county. So I had to do a little bit of searching through Google to find out roughly what the area looked like, but that didn't take me very long. I have a lot of notes saved throughout, not only notebooks, but I send myself sites all the time. In email, I save a lot of URLs so that I can just go do a quick search through my email and usually pick it right up. That would be another tip for you in writing throughout the year. If you're writing something that you need a fact for, just kind of poke around when you're online. You can always open up another window when you're on Facebook and jot notes about just the slightest little idea that pops into your head. You never know when you might use it some other time. But I see that's something that I learned from being a college student too. So if research wasn't your thing back then, it might not be that easy. But for me, it doesn't take me that long. So that's just one more little tip. Now, if you're working on a historical story and you're in the middle of typing it and you find out there's a fact that you haven't written down in your notes, like, say, when I was writing Drew the Warrior's Heart, I wondered how old was the use of drop spindles. Now, I have friends who've used them, so in my case I could just fire off an email to them. But instead of stopping writing the manuscript at that point, just leave yourself a note, and then you can go back to it after you finish the allotted time for your writing. Say if you're doing National Novel Writing Month and need 50,000 words by the end of the month, you can go do that little last bit of research after the fact and not have to worry about cutting into your actual typing time, because we all know that once you get on Google, research can lead you down other avenues and you can lose a whole day just doing research. Another tip for how you can get your word count in, and I figure y'all are going to hate me for this one, in that 30 days of November, I do not take a day off for Thanksgiving. Now, I don't do a lot of traveling like a lot of other people do, but I still have some traveling to do. So I get up earlier in the morning and I do my words, maybe 250 words in the morning. And then we celebrate our holiday, and then we come back and I do the rest of my words. It just depends on what you want, where you want to put your priority. Do you want to sit there on the couch and be fat, or do you want to get the words in? Now, some of you are probably saying, oh yeah, well, we have to travel and fly and blah, blah, blah. I understand that. But do you have your cell phone with you? If yours is anything like mine, it has a feature on it where you can leave yourself a note. Guess what? If you can leave yourself a note, you can write a paragraph that can go into your manuscript later on. Type the little words out, and if you get 250 words in a note, you email it to yourself, paste it into your manuscript, and guess what? You've now done 250 words that you didn't have before, even while you're traveling. So that's another way to do it. I've heard people say that they've been able to record themselves reading their manuscripts or their story ideas, and then you can transcribe that later. Well, if you do it that way, it's kind of like handwriting your manuscript. Sure, you can handwrite it, but if you have to go and put it in the computer to validate it, then you're sort of losing those days. So, but it is a way, even though we're talking about losing days, saving days, whatever, it's still a way to get those words in. Outside of NaNoWriMo, of course, you don't have to force yourself to cram that 50,000 words into a certain date. But if you wanted to, and something came up to interrupt that, that's not, something that you can't take 5 minutes away from your family to type in 250 words, then that would be another way that you might be able to accomplish it. And look, if you really want to be a writer, if you really want to win NaNoWriMo, you squeeze in the words anywhere you can do them. If you have to do it 5 minutes in the bathroom, or, grab a notebook right after you get out of bed in the morning and start scribbling before you even go down to breakfast. That's a way to get it done. If you have to stay up a little later before you go to bed at night and write them down. Once you get the bug to write, you'll find a way to do it. And if your family will understand. So you don't really, or you shouldn't really feel guilty about that. If they know it's your calling, it's not just something that you want to do once and be done with it, or you just want to fiddle around with it and try it. They get used to it. You would be surprised how writing tends to work into life. It in some ways can almost be like a second job. And do people feel guilty about working a second job? I mean, yeah, it sucks, but at least with writing, it's a second job that you enjoy. So just kind of look at it that way. And it's up to you how you want to do it. But there are all these little tricks that you can do to squeeze them in. I mean, even if you're writing a paragraph a day, you're getting something done. It's better than nothing. It's better than sitting there going, oh, well, I wish I had time to. Or, do you want to get to your deathbed and say, oh, I wish I had time to write that book? It's up to you. I mean, I've been writing since high school, so these tips and tricks are second nature to me. So it's not something I really have to think about, unless somebody's saying, oh, well, I don't have time to write. Well, yeah, you do. You know, how much time do you spend on the computer every day? How much time do you waste on Facebook and social media? You could be doing something else. You could be reading a book. I have many to leave you recommendations if you'd like. Or you can write. It just depends on where you want to put your focus. And will you feel guilty later on for not having written this book? Well, this is NaNoWriMo is a way to do it, or CampWriMo or whatever. Or you can just pick a month out of the year yourself and just start writing. And if you really get into it and you're still trying to think of how you can finish this story, that's just a way to do it. So, you know, don't just try to lock yourself into 50,000 words. What you should really be focusing more on is, can I write a good beginning, a good middle, and a good end? And consistently, and not just, you know, write 20,000 words and go, I'll never be able to do this, and walk away from it. You have to keep doing it. You have to keep, it's like anything, you just have to practice. Just keep practicing, keep plugging at it, and you'll eventually, if it's really what you're meant to do, you'll write that novel. So, those are my tips for right now. I hope they help out somewhat. And thanks for watching, and if you'd like to subscribe, please do. There's a link to the side. I'll be putting up more videos eventually. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.